There's a very well-known idea that originates from ancient China. It represents the balance of forces in nature, darkness and the light working in tandem to create stability. As you probably know, this is the concept of yin and yang, represented as a taijitu, the popular symbol we all know today. But increasingly, stability is challenged in our modern world. Never has it been easier for opinions to be challenged, extreme beliefs to be perpetuated, due in part to the advent of the internet. And one area that is hotly debated, and I believe would be relevant to us all, is entertainment. It's very easy to have a tribalistic attitude with pleasure. Some people believe that if you play video games, if you watch sports for hours, you're just a lazy bum. You've got no ambition, you're not productive, etc. And then you have another camp, those who play games from sunrise to sundown, on the verge of arthritis because they sit all day. I would hope that most people agree that any extreme belief is foolish. To believe in one idea and cast out all other opinions is pretty ignorant. But the topic of gaming has me particularly interested because they are so entertaining. No matter how many alpha male influencers try to dissuade you, there's just something about gaming that is so intrinsically enjoyable. And I want to explore this idea of harmony and maintaining a balance through the lens of games. Because we've all heard this idea that games are more fun than reality, that it's difficult to maintain that balance. But why? There have to be reasons to explain this, and I've given it some thought, and I've come up with 3 broad categories to explore this question: streamlining, escape, and purpose. It's pretty obvious that games are a simplified version of reality in many ways. You don't have to deal with the consequences or challenges presented to you by doing a given task in-game as you would in real life. Take Minecraft, for example. We've all played it. In a matter of minutes, you can gather up literal tons of wood, stone, valuable gems, weeks of food. It's incredibly straightforward. You punch a tree for a few seconds, you get logs, which you then turn into planks and sticks with the click of a button. But what if you tried to do the same thing in real life? Chopping down a tree could take a long time. Hunting for food can be exhausting, time-consuming, dangerous even. You can dig for years in a mine and find nothing. You can build a house in Minecraft in seconds, but a proper home in reality takes months to build. You can get a full set of iron armor pretty quickly, but forging an epic suit of steel can be grueling. You have to cast it, bend the metal to your will, smooth out bumps. Maybe you get it wrong the first time and you have to restart. Maybe you accidentally spill molten iron on your foot. Whoops. But all of these challenges, these impediments to fun, are just whisked away by the magic of game design. Because that's how it should be. A hyper-realistic game wouldn't be fun. We want the dopamine-rich tidbits with very little friction in the way. Imagine if you were playing Battlefield, but you had to wait days before a match could start because you need management approval, or you're waiting on your ammunition to be restocked by a convoy. It would suck. That's not the point of games. The point is to have fun. But that does not take away from the fact that reality has its drawbacks. Doing anything of value takes real effort. Sometimes we spend months or years on something for it to not pan out, and it feels like you've just wasted your time. Maybe you've been in a relationship with someone for months, and it's going really well, but suddenly you have your first fight. The challenges of reality start to creep in as you bicker, become resentful, and you aren't equipped yet to handle that. In a small way, games help relieve that burden. I mean, if you want a partner in Stardew Valley, you just give them presents and talk to them for a while. But real life just doesn't work that way. And that's why it's so meaningful. Sure, games feel good to play, games are awesome. But wooing a digital waifu will never match the feeling of hearing your first, "I love you." The satisfaction of becoming a master of something after decades of sweat and toil. The kind of satisfaction you just can't get from maxing out your skills in-game. But again, that's not the point. Games are meant to be simplified simulations that we feel good about playing in the moment. We need a streamlined experience to escape from our often burdensome, lonely, and misguided lives. Which leads me to my next point: escape. On December 16th, 2022, the sequel to the beloved Avatar was released to viewers, and as expected, it showcased breathtaking vistas, an unimaginable world when compared with our often bland Earth. It has fantastical creatures, vibrant plants, and marine life, and shortly after the movie came out, an interesting phenomenon was coined: Avatar Syndrome. In many ways, Earth is an exceptional place. You can travel in any direction for trillions of miles and find nothing like it. It has lush jungles, expansive prairies, imposing mountain ranges. Yet for many of us, these qualities are largely inaccessible. Many of us live in depressing, overcrowded cities with little to offer in the way of natural beauty. Sometimes it's dark and cold, rainy and lonely. So when a movie like Avatar comes around and transports you to a world of inconceivable beauty, it's quite the shock to leave the theater, hop in your aging car with a missing hubcap, and drive home in the pouring rain back to your mundane reality. Hence the term Avatar Syndrome. Feelings of depression and loneliness after exposure to a hyper-beautiful world. And in a way, games are no different. The games we play are beautiful, shockingly beautiful, sometimes hard to distinguish from reality. They can be beautiful in a cozy way, a way that, sure, it's not the highest resolution graphics, but it gives us that warm, fuzzy feeling that we love. Again, mentioning Stardew Valley, it has a lovable art style that just makes you feel good, a world that you just want to dive into and play for hours. The Witcher 3 oozes with atmosphere in a dark, twisted fantasy way, a world that you know is fraught with danger, deceit, and drama. These games offer a gateway into a world that can far exceed the excitement that reality brings, or lack thereof. Or maybe you play games to escape for a different reason, for reasons of emotional comfort beyond simply the game's world. Many people have truly difficult lives. Maybe you're a student buried in schoolwork, or a laborer exhausted from a long day of work, parents in need of a break from the children. And games can offer just that, a digital world for you to dive into and forget about life for a little while. And in that regard, games are not only fun, but necessary. Sometimes you need that place to escape, a world where you know you won't be judged for what you look like, for what you wear, how you talk. And for anyone to discount games as an activity for basement-dwelling losers is a misguided opinion. Sometimes you just gotta grind for that legendary item, or do some farming in Stardew. It gives you a purpose, which leads me to my last point: purpose. I am a sucker for achievements in games, I'll admit it. I absolutely love knocking out those challenges and getting my social clout for it. It feels great. For a few reasons, I'll detail, but the primary reason I believe is because it gives a sense of purpose, which is lacking in many people's lives, to say the least. It's quite the tall order to go your entire life knowing exactly what you want to do. Some people would consider themselves well-guided and sure of themselves in their profession, but a lot of us are not. It's easy for those feelings of, why am I actually doing this, to creep in. We crave purpose. It's in our blood to search for reason and meaning, but life has a funny way of making this search rather difficult. It's not always apparent why you should or should not be here, or why that bad thing happened. Sometimes things just happen. But this, fundamentally, is where gaming differs from reality. Because games are literally just code. Intentional decisions from developers to implement challenges, NPCs, quests, items. Every rock in the world, every word of dialogue was put there on purpose. Yes, there are now games being built with AI, so this is becoming less pronounced. But games are still very much planned out experiences with fun and purpose in mind. If I want to make 25,000 gold in Stardew Valley, it's pretty simple. You plant some crops, you sell those crops, make some cash, you'll get there in no time. But what if I wanted to make $25,000 in real life? That's a lot of money. Well, I guess you could start by looking for a job. That's a good way to make money. So you'll have to write up a resume, cover letter, and submit it to a few different companies. But let's say you get rejected, or even better, you hear nothing. Radio silence. There's immediate friction. You don't have to interview with anyone to make money in games. You don't need to ask for permission to complete that quest. You're given the objective, you're shown where to go, and you do it. But you can do everything right, be super prepared for that job interview or that test, and for whatever reason, you flop. Whoops, is that a flat tire on the way to your SAT? Well, shucks, life gives you lemons. But games just don't do that. Sure, you've got some RNG to contend with, sometimes games feel unfair, but games almost always have a great way of telling you what to do. They provide that sense of purpose that we crave, and that's what matters. If you didn't know why you were playing the game, you wouldn't be doing it. You don't get that choice with real life. You are born with random stats to a random family in a random country with no form to sign saying you agreed to be here. Unlike games, reality does not always feed our desire for purpose. We have to find it ourselves, take up hobbies or healthy habits that improve our lives. And in that regard, reality is superior to gaming. Because while it may be harder to find that purpose, achieving goals based in reality is undeniably more satisfying than games. Transforming your body, or getting that job, or being accepted into that school inherently feels good. And while I hate to admit it, getting a legendary item in-game is merely an attempt to mimic that satisfaction, and it often fails. We all love to level up our characters in-game. It feels good to get that sword, to hit max level. But it's not so simple to do that in real life. Getting strong takes effort, sweat, food, lots of food, and it's difficult to know that you're always making progress. What if there was some sort of tool, a website, or maybe even a little game that served as a way to gamify your habits? The fun of leveling up is not just the act of making progress, but also the literal level up animations, the little sparkles, the packaging. There's a reason why we were given good job stickers as kids. The way that you present progress matters. What if instead of saying, I don't want to go to the gym today, you could have a little checklist in this game, this tool, your daily quests, if you will. And if you complete them in a given day, you get achievement points. Let's say you've got 10 dailies to complete. One of them is brush your teeth, or cook a good meal for yourself, go to the gym, study for an hour. And all of these tasks could be represented as little icons, the exact same way games make us feel good when we complete a quest. Maybe today I got the legendary 225 bench achievement. Only 0.2% of players have it. Little stuff like that. And you could then share it with others. After all, much of the allure of rarity is bragging about it to other players. I believe that this could be a way to bridge the satisfaction of gaming with the fulfillment of reality. A harmony, if you will. Of course, you could just track your goals in a journal and write down what you're going to do today. But that is just simply not enough. There's a reason why most people struggle to achieve their dreams. It's hard. Self-motivation is extremely taxing, time-intensive, often fruitless. There needs to be a way to gamify these hardships so it feels like fun rather than friction. Maybe I'm a hopeless dreamer, but I know that there are talented people out there with the means to make something like this a reality. I realize that all of what I just said is likely not news to you. I know you love games just as much as I do, but I want to express the importance of harmony. It would be unwise to go your entire life playing video games with no balance at all. It's probably not healthy. And it would also be unwise to try to live a life devoid of fun. We need the escape gaming provides, the shared social bonds, the treasure trove of worlds to explore. And we also need the fulfillment of reality, the bond of real people, having families, accomplishing objectives on behalf of not just NPCs, but humanity. It is not a matter of which is better. The digital and real worlds serve different purposes, and they can exist together and form a reality that you wish to be a part of. And from there, the sky's the limit. I'll catch you later.